What's going on, wonderful people? It's your old buddy Big Rob here with another special deluxe episode of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and no Chinese food. Now, for those of you at home, you might be asking yourself, whoa, Big Rob, what's special, what's deluxe about this episode? And I'm here to tell you, nothing. It was a marketing ploy to get you interested. Now that you're here, stick around. I got some stuff to talk about. I finally got back into my Canon box set, and I'm going to talk about the fourth film today. That's going to be the focus of what I'm focusing on. But I had a couple of small things that I wanted to talk about before that. So stick around. You know, we'll get to the Canon film. The first thing, if you guys have been around for a little while, if you've seen the channel, if you're familiarized with it, you know that Big Rob, I gotta quit talking about myself in the third person. That's really annoying, and I am not anywhere near that famous, so I apologize. So if you've been around the channel for a little while, you know that I love action figures and I love a good bargain. Well, other day, week or so ago, myself and Hassel and Monster, we were texting back and forth. We just try to keep up with some news that way, and I believe it was Hassel, could be wrong, could have been Monster, had seen online where somebody had found some good deals on some action figures at Ross Dress for Less. And I know what you're thinking is, wow, what part of dressing for less has to do with action figures? I don't know, but Big Rob's gonna go check it out. Sorry, I'm gonna go check it out. So the other day on my day off, I went up and I stopped at a couple of Ross's. I stopped some other places too, but it's not really important that I went to Circle K and got gas. It's not, doesn't pertain to the story, right? But anyway, so I went in, and sure enough, Ross has a small selection of, they got a whole bunch of stuff in there other than clothes. I had no idea. I've never been in one of these places. But anyway, they do have a really, really small toy section. And so I went in there and I found a few things. I picked up a McFarlane Static Shock DC figure. McFarlane figures run $19.99 normally at Target, Walmart, that kind of thing. That's their regular price. People just, I'm filming here and they just drive by like it's a public road, because it is. So anyway, but Ross price, I paid $5.99, $6 for Static Shock. I thought that was a pretty great deal. I did not remember that Static Shock had a figure. I guess I missed that particular wave, which McFarlane throws those waves out quick as all get out. So, that may be why. I picked up something for Hassel in a Marvel Legends set. Vulcan out of the Bone Breaker set, same price, $5.99, $6 for a $25 figure. I have seen myself, they did have a couple of other McFarlane figures there. I seen online, well, what Hassel and Monster was talking about, there was supposed to be some of the G.I. Joe classifieds there. I did not see any at the Rosses that I stopped at, but apparently it's a thing. I seen some Ninja Turtles. It's like a 4-pack box set. I don't know. I should have took pictures. Some of you guys might know more about this stuff, because I just didn't know about it. I seen some Dragon Ball Z and some other anime type collectibles. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, so I don't know. It may have been some really cool stuff. They had some pop vinyls. I think the pop vinyls was like $4 or $5. So if you've got a Ross Dress for Less somewhere close by and you're looking for some action figures or collectibles, couldn't hurt to go check it out. It's going to go on my list. I mean, when I'm in a new town, I'm probably going to start checking them out and seeing what I got to see. If you don't have a Ross Dress for Less, from what I understand, doing a little bit of quick looking up, apparently the same company that owns Ross also owns DD's Discounts. I have seen those, but I don't remember where. I think maybe in Alabama. So I don't know if you've got that. It's the same company that owns them, so maybe they've got some action figures as well. Who knows? Couldn't hurt to try, right? The other thing is Netflix dropped their live action One Piece TV show. I don't know, may have been a month ago now. I could be wrong. Anyway, I never watched the original anime that there's like 1,000 something episodes of. I never read the manga, which there's probably as much manga as there is anime, I guess. I don't know. But I have heard about it. I know it's kind of like a pirate themed show. The land that the show is set in is like mostly water with just a little bit of land, and there's a bunch of pirates, and they're all looking for the One Piece, which is this huge cache of treasure so they can become the king pirate or something. I don't know. So I gave it a shot, and I've only watched a couple of episodes. I thought it was pretty interesting. I say I did the live action. I didn't do the animated. I'll probably go back and try that one out eventually. But the live action was pretty interesting. If you like goofy TV shows, the episodes are like an hour long. So I mean, it's, you know, it's a little bit of an investment, you know, other than some things. The main character, Luffy, is just so absolutely positive about everything that it hurts my heart. Okay, I am a pessimist, always have been, always will be, but Luffy's eternal optimism, it's kind of starting to crack my heart a little bit, which is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't know. But it was pretty fun. I'll probably finish the season out and probably give the anime a chance because I enjoyed it. I don't know. Ahsoka finished up on the Disney Channel, or Disney Plus, excuse me, and that show was just about as near perfect as a Star Wars show or a TV show can be for me. I'm not going to go into it because just in case you guys hadn't watched it and y'all don't want to get any spoilers, because if I start talking, we'll be here for about an hour and a half and I will spoil everything. And I'm not hassle, so I'm not going to do that right now. But, wow, that was an amazing show. I surely hope season 2 gets greenlit, because I'll be watching that one just as soon as it drops, just like I did this one. Loki started. I watched the first episode. It was alright. Short rounds in it from Indiana Jones. He works for the TVA. I think that's cool. He's a cool dude. I can't remember his name, and it's very hard to pronounce for my country self. But anyway. Alright, that was my small amount of stuff. So here's what the video this week is really about. The 4th entry into my Canon box set film review. I was putting this one off, not because I didn't want to review it, but because I was excited to review it. I was trying to push it back, and I couldn't help myself. Today, I watched for the 23rd, 25th, 50th, I don't know. I've seen this movie a bunch. 1988's blockbuster, cult video, cult movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bloodsport. Ooh, yeah. And I enjoyed this movie just as much today at 42 years of age in 2023 as I did when I was a kid in probably the mid-90s, renting it from the Fitzgerald Video Warehouse and watching it when I wasn't supposed to. Man, plot details is like this, action is like this, martial arts is like this. It's so good to me. All right, whatever. Commercial success, $1.5 to $2.3 million budget estimated. Box office $50 million estimated. This is the movie that pushed Jean-Claude Van Damme into superstardom. Jean-Claude Van Damme is the main star. He plays Frank Dukes. You know Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was Kickboxer, Hard Target, Double Team, Universal Soldier, Expendables 2, his Street Fighter. Too many to name. I mean, he was one of the 80s action movie stars. Legionnaire. If I try to name all his films, I'll be here for a while. But there was a reason he was in the Expendables franchise, because he was a 80s action star. And this was not his first movie, but this was his movie that pushed him into the superstardom. He plays, again, Frank Dukes, the main character. Donald Gibb plays Jackson. He's basically becomes Frank's friend in the movie. You will know him. Donald Gibb played Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds. Huge, massive dude. Awesome character. I did not know this. He was also in Hancock. He was also in U.S. Marshals. No idea. All I remember him was from Ogre. And all I remember is going, nerds! He's a bit more eloquent in this. Not much more. He plays a giant biker that's entering the Kumite. Awesome. Leah Ayers plays Janice, the female protagonist, love interest of Frank. She was in a ton of TV shows, Married with Children. She was in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. Movie-wise, movie called All That Jazz. Horror movie called The Burning. A lot of the TV shows I've seen, but I don't remember her in them. She's a very beautiful woman. She plays the part in this as Janice, who is a reporter very well. She seems to be a good actor. Not somebody I recall very much. Helmer and Rollins are two law enforcement members. Helmer, played by Norman Burton. He was in Diamonds Are Forever. He was in 1968 Planet of the Apes. Also in an episode of the 1974 Planet of the Apes TV show. Towering Inferno, which Atari made an amazing video game called Towering Inferno. Connected? I have no idea. Probably. He was in a couple episodes of the Wonder Woman TV show. He's just one of those great character actors. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Rollins was played by the great Saw Gerrera himself, Forrest Whitaker, with both eyes open this time because he was young. I'm sorry if Forrest Whitaker sees this. I apologize. That was rude as hell. Sorry. Just so you know that I can tie anything to Star Wars. Saw Gerrera, baby. Rebels, Andor, Rogue One. I think, was he in Rogue One? I don't know. He was in Andor and Rebels. Anyway, I think he was in Rogue One. Anyway, Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker plays Rollins. Tanaka, Frank Dukes' mentor, was played by Roy Chiao. Great Chinese martial artist actor. He was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Ton of other Asian type movies that I don't know the name of and probably can't pronounce even if I could understand the language. Chong Li was played by Bolo Yeung. I'm probably saying his last name wrong and I apologize. He was in Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was in Enter the Dragon. He's been in a ton of martial arts movies. He's been in movies with Cynthia Rothrock, with I think he was in the American Ninja, one of the movies. Just ton of martial arts movies. He looks like an evil version of Liu Kang. So if you think of Liu Kang and then make him evil, that's what this dude looks like and acts like. Victor is Ken Su, probably saying that wrong. He was in Rush Hour. He was in Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was in The Forbidden Kingdom, a bunch of other stuff. This dude is the Asian Jimmy Hart. Like, he is the promoter / tour guide for Frank and Jackson. He's got the Jimmy Hart mullet. He's got the big giant glasses. The only thing he was missing was the megaphone, right? Watch the movie. You will know what I mean. It's hilarious. Or racist. I'm not real sure. Anyway, I think it's funny, and this is my show, so that's what we're going with. It's funny. All right, so here's the story of the movie. Frank Dukes, he's an Army captain and an elite martial artist. Ninjutsu is what he was trained in. And he disappears from base to go to Hong Kong and fight in this underground full contact martial arts tournament called the Kumite. All right. And of course the army doesn't want him to go fight in this underground tournament, so they try to take him in and tell him not to go that. He disappears on them. He goes AWOL. Well, before he leaves the States, he goes to see his mentor who's on his deathbed because he's gotten older, and he tells him that he's going to go fight for his name, for his honor. It's a pretty touching scene if you know, for like a dude scene, you know, it's pretty cool. You kind of get some backstory. When Frank was a kid, he broke into this dude's house with some other yucks. The other kids ran, Frank stuck around. This dude ended up taking him and training him along with his own son. Unfortunately, his son died. It never really explained why or how, but the sensei kept training Frank in the ways of the martial arts, in this family's like specific tradition, right? So anyway, so they got, you know, they got some history, right? All right, so he goes to Hong Kong. He meets up with Ray Jackson, Ogre, and Asian Jimmy Hart. They go to register for the Kumite, and the judges there, they're like, you don't look like a Tanaka, you don't look Japanese, because he's not, obviously, he's Jean-Claude Van Damme. And so they ask him, you know, for some proof, and he tells them that he is trained in the ways of the Den Mach, or the death touch. And so the one judge is like, all right, well, if you can do the death touch, then show us, right? So this is like one of those iconic scenes that even if you haven't seen Bloodsport, you've probably seen this movie. He walks over to these stacks of bricks, right? And he asked Asian Jimmy Hart, he's like, pick a brick. And Asian Jimmy Hart's like, hey, one in the center, right? And just before he starts to palm strike this thing, the one judge, which by the way, one of these judges looks exactly like my Uncle James. If you know my Uncle James, you think that's hilarious, like an Asian version of Uncle James. If you don't know Uncle James, then it's kind of lost on you. But anyway, I'll show you one day if we meet. So anyway, so one of the judges says, no, middle row of bricks, but the bottom brick. Frank's like, all right, cool. So he comes back and he palm strikes this, and this stack of bricks, the bottom brick blows out, shatters. Very cool. The rest of the bricks, they're fine. They're not cracked. They're not nothing. That is really cool. And that's supposedly one of the hallmarks of this particular version of ninjutsu that Master Tanaka was part of, right? All right, so cool. So then they get into the to the tournament, and they finally, and they see evil Liu Kang. And so Asian Jimmy Hart and Ray Jackson are telling Frank that Chong Li, evil Liu Kang, he is the tournament defending champion. They hold this tournament every 5 years. Sorry, I forgot to say that. And that he's the defending champion. He holds the world record for the fastest knockout. And at the last tournament, he killed a guy in the ring, kicked him in the throat, and watched him die on the mat. Evil Liu Kang. Evil being the operative word, right? So then Asian Jimmy Hart is telling Frank and Ray about the rules. There's 3 ways to end a Kumite fight. 1 is by knockout. 2 is by getting the opponent to say mate, and I don't know how to pronounce that or spell that, but mate is basically saying uncle. I give up. I quit. And the 3rd way is ring out. They don't call it that, but I mean, if you played a fighting game, you know what I'm talking about. You get knocked out in the ring, you lose the battle, right? So it's a single elimination tournament, full contact. This particular Kumite in the movie is held in the underground of old Hong Kong. And I don't mean the British Hong Kong, I mean the Chinese Triad Hong Kong. Because the Chinese Triad Mafia, I don't remember what they call it in the movie, has granted them, the Black Dragon Society has said it was okay. So this is some deep, dark, underground stuff, right? And of course, like all underground, deep, dark, hidden fight clubs, it has the elite of the elite Hong Kong business people, rich 1%ers as who is their spectators. I guess rich people are different. I don't know. I'm okay with WWE and AEW. Adam Copeland's all elite. Sorry, I digress. I'll come back. I apologize. Anyway, so they're at the tournament. They meet up with Evil Liu Kang. They get into the tournament. So a little bit later on, they're at the hotel, and Janice, the reporter, she's heard rumors of the Kumite. She's trying to get a story, because that's what reporters used to do back in the 80s. Now they just make lies up and put it out, but back in the 80s, they used to try and get the truth. Shocking, I know, right? Anyway, so she's talking to this one fighter for the Kumite named Hussein, and he looks like a Saudi prince. He's got the Italian tablecloth on his head with the gold bands around it, but the dude that plays him is Filipino. I don't know what, and his name's Hussein in the movie, so they couldn't find an Arabian guy. I don't know. Anyway, so he's being a real dickweed to Janice, because Saudi princes don't see women as human beings. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're scum, right? Okay. So anyway, he's been a dickweed. So Frank and Ray show up, and Frank, being the gentleman that he is, he, tries to de-escalate the situation and save the day and be a nice guy, be a hero, white knight, whatever. Anyway, so Ray reminds him, look, you guys can't fight outside of the Kumite or you get kicked out. So Frank's like, all right, so I'll tell you what. And he holds up a quarter, right? And he said, look, I'm going to put this in your hand. And if I can snatch it before you close your hand, the girl comes with me. If not, she goes with you. And of course, Janice is outraged at this gambling for her virtue, because she should be, because that's really jacked up. Well, Frank, being the ladies' man charmer of the 80s, gives her a wink. It's still wrong, bro. Whatever. Anyway, it comes off less creepy than you would think by me explaining it, but still, it's the 80s. I can't. But it's the 80s. Anyway, so he gives the Saudi prince, the Hussein. He may not be a Saudi prince, but I mean, his name's Hussein. Anyway, he gives him the coin, and before he can snatch it, he closes his hand, and he's like, ah, I got it. And he told him to open his hand. Not only did he snatch the coin, but he put a different coin in his hand. Old switcheroo. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so now Frank's talking to Janice, because he's saved her from Hussein, whatever. All right, whatever. Anyway, so she's trying to get a story, so Frank's like, oh, I'll tell you all about the Kumite. I want you to have dinner with me. And so they go to dinner, and she's trying to sneak into the Kumite, and he's like, no, they got some pretty serious rules, because this is an underground fight club, back and forth, whatever. Well, anyway, so the next night at the Kumite, or the next day, Frank shows up to start his day, and finds out that she's there as the date of this super rich Asian business guy. All right, cool. So she snuck in. All right, cool. She's a good reporter. She knows what she's doing. That's cool. So on day 2, and by the way, there's a whole bunch of fight scenes and some really, really good stuff. If you like martial arts, this has some really great martial arts fights. Day 2, Ray Jackson, Ogre, has to fight Evil Liu Kang. Well, Ogre's been, because he's an American, right? So we screw around with people. We trash talk. If you've ever seen the WWE, you know what I'm talking about. We're arrogant. That's what we do. He's been trash talking everybody, and especially Chong Li, Evil Liu Kang. So Evil Liu Kang and him get into a fight. Ogre kind of gets the upper hand, but then he starts gloating. Again, American, right? And Chong Li beats him, and then just kicks him in the head like, well, Frank just about loses it. It is all Asian Jimmy Hart can do to keep him from coming in the ring and going after Chong Li, right? Evil Liu Kang. But he stays calm. The referee announces Chong Li, Evil Liu Kang is the winner. Okay, cool. So then Frank runs to help his friend out, and Evil Liu Kang picks up Ogre's headband, and as a trophy, right? All right, so they take him to the hospital. This whole time, you got Saul Guerrero and the dude from, excuse me, sorry about that, and the dude from Planet of the Apes have been running around trying to find Frank Dukes, and they've been talking to the cops, and they've been talking to the hotel. They even found Frank at one time, and they pulled out these tasers, and these tasers, I kid you not, look like the dustbuster that's at my grandma's house. They don't look anything like tasers do now. It looks like a daggum Electrolux Dustbuster. Anyway, Frank gets away. It's hilarious. It's a Keystone Cops moment because they end up in a canal. It's pretty good comic early. But anyway, so they're chasing Frank. They told him he's got to go back to America. He can't be in there Kumite, even though he's already fought several fights. Whatever. All right, so now we're on day 3 of the 3-day Kumite tournament, and Frank gets to the back alley that lets him go, and of course Rollins and Helmer are there. I'm not going to try and talk over that. That's loud, okay? I'll just pause. Anyway, Rollins and Helmer are there with some Hong Kong police, and Frank just smacks the cops around and manages to get away, and he's like, look, I've got to do this. I promise you, though, I will meet you guys at the airport tomorrow. And because it's a movie and not real life, they're like, all right, Frank, you're a good guy. We will wait on you, no problem. So then you get to the tournament for today. This underground, illegal, highly hidden underground fight club tournament that nobody will even talk to this reporter about. Somehow now the reporter and these 2 federal agents have a front row seat for it. I don't. It's a movie, right? Okay. So anyway, they have a front row seat. All right, so we're down to like the last couple of matches. So Frank fights this dude named Pedro or Peso or something, I don't know. Frank beats him, but he gets kicked upside the head. He's got a big old shiner on his eye, whatever. But he prevails because he's Frank, because he's the winner, right? Because he's the protagonist. And so then Evil Liu Kang gets up to fight his last guy, and Evil Liu Kang just wails on this dude and beats the crap out of him, Well, he ends up killing the dude. And the dude's just laying there on the mat, you know, being dead. And the referee gets down there and he's like all shocked looking. And he's like feeling for a pulse, and he looks up and he looks at the judges and he's looking back at Evil Liu Kang and he's looking at the dead guy and he's shocked. And I'm like, the dude killed the dude 5 years ago. Why are y'all shocked that he killed a dude this year? He's got a history of this. Well, the judges get up and they turn their back on Evil Liu Kang, which makes the audience who had been cheering for Evil Liu Kang all go quiet. Like, oh, he's getting shunned. Maybe we shouldn't cheer for this psychopath. Anyway, again, he did it 5 years ago. Why are y'all shocked that he did it this year? Whatever. Anyway, so we're now down to the last 2, Frank and Evil Liu Kang. Boom. Okay. So then they start getting ready for their match. Well, Evil Liu Kang, being Evil Liu Kang, he's got his ring guy. I don't know what his name was. I don't know what his position was, but he helps the dude out. He puts a little salt tablet in Evil Liu Kang's trunks. Kind of like Tajiri loading up the green, or the Great Muta loading up the green mist, except it's a salt tablet. It would have been so much better if he'd loaded up green mist, but I mean, this is the 80s, whatever. Anyway, so they start to fight. And for some reason, they changed how the mat has been a square that was raised about 3 foot off the ground. Now it looks like the starting of a half pipe. It's curved. I don't know why, but whatever. That's what they do. So anyway, they fight. One of them gets a little bit of an upper hand, and the other one gets a little bit of upper hand, and a little bit of upper hand. Well, then all of a sudden, Frank just wails on Evil Liu Kang. Liu Kang goes down, and he's sitting there, and he reaches into his trousers, and he pulls out a salt tablet, crushes it up, and throws it in Frank's eyes and blinds him. He can't see. He's like, wah, wah, and he can't see nothing, so he's swinging on air. Well, eventually he remembers his ninja training, because, you know, ninjas learn to fight blindfolded. I don't know. It's at the beginning of the movie in one of the training montages. I know I didn't tell you about it, but I'm trying to keep this thing to under an hour, right? Okay, the movie was only an hour and a half. I don't know. Anyway, so he blinds Frank. So Frank draws on his inner, I don't know, he's using the Force or something. I don't know, his inner ninja. And he manages to overcome his blindness and just whoop the living crap out of evil Liu Kang. And he eventually gets him down, gets his head in a headlock, and he makes him say mate. He makes him tap out. Because he's the good guy, right? And he's got to humiliate this bad guy because that's what you do in the 80s. But, I mean, it's going to teach evil Liu Kang some humbleness, maybe. He might come back next time not such a jerk. We don't know. I worked in the Rocky movies, I think. I got to do the Rocky movies. I hadn't seen those in a while. Anyway, totally not the point. He humbled him. Anyway, so then they go to the hospital and they see Ray Jackson and let him know that Frank beat evil Liu Kang in his honor, and they're going to give his headband back to him. Ogre is sitting in the hospital bed, and this South Korean, Hong Kong, I said South Korean, I don't know. He's sitting in this Hong Kong hospital, sitting in the bed, drinking a can of beer. I don't know what kind of medical care they got in Hong Kong, but I am fairly certain that beer is not on the approved list, especially when you're got a head injury that you're recovering from. Could be wrong, but I mean, it sounds like a good idea anyway. But anyway, they tell him, hey, good friend, whatever. They mess with each other a little bit, and they tell them they love each other because, they're dudes. And then he tells the homegirl, the homegirl tells Ray, I'll say that right, Janice tells Ray that Frank made evil Chun-Li tap out, which was nice. So then the next thing you see is Rollins and Helmer on the airplane, or at the base of the airplane stairs, waiting on Frank to show up. And they're like, I knew he wasn't going to show up. I knew he wasn't going to show up. Well, and all of a sudden you see Frank is already in the plane because he comes out the door and he's like, hey, y'all coming? So anyway, they get on the plane. And just as he's fixing to go in the plane, then the bus pulls up with Janice and she gets out. And Frank's like, see ya. And she's like, Kumite. That was pretty cool. But anyway, that was the end of the movie. Well, once it hits, then you get a little thing that pops up that says that this movie was based on the real live events of Frank Dukes. That from 1975 to 1980, he was the Kumite champion. That he had 329 fight victories, 0 losses. He retired undefeated. And that he had several world records, including fastest kick knockout, fastest knockout, I don't remember, it was 2 more. Anyway, so it sounds really cool. And then it says that Frank invented his own version of American ninjutsu called Dukes Jitsu, I don't know. Anyway, that sounds pretty neat. But after the movie came out, and after some people started looking into it, you found out that it's all bullcrap. Frank Dukes was a real dude. Matter of fact, Frank Dukes was the fight coordinator for this film. He was an actual person. He actually told Jean-Claude Van Damme, when Jean-Claude got cast, that he wasn't in good enough shape. Jean-Claude, having already been a martial artist, he wasn't in good enough shape to play Frank Dukes. And he put Jean-Claude through this training regimen that even Jean-Claude said was a pain, that it was difficult. So maybe he knew how to fight, maybe he didn't. But there's no record that anybody can find other than Frank Dukes' own testimony that he was a Kumite champion, or that the Kumite even exists. Okay? Nobody can find any record of this. Frank also claimed to be a CIA operative. Nobody can find proof that he even knew anybody in the CIA, much less worked for him. The closest thing they can find to him government work was he was a Marine reservist, I believe. So dude, I guess got drunk and started telling stories, and they just kind of blew up on him. Or maybe he's a nutcase. I don't know. One or the other. Both things are possible. So, but anyway, pretty interesting. Even though old Frank was a nut job. right? So this movie kind of started, at least from what I understand, what I can remember, this movie kind of started the UFC craze, the mixed martial art, full contact sport. You didn't really have this before this movie. It started it was the inspiration for the Mortal Kombat video game and the Mortal Kombat game series. Johnny Cage was modeled after Jean-Claude Van Damme. And even Johnny Cage's splits with the kick, with the punch, the splits were Jean-Claude Van Damme splits. If you've watched the old Mortal Kombat movie, Johnny Cage versus Goro, when he does a split and he nut shots Prince Goro, that was in this movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme did a split and nut shot at this big Asian dude. So, yeah. And then the new Mortal Kombat 1 that just came out this year sometime, I don't know, I don't play video games anymore. Jean-Claude Van Damme is actually voicing Johnny Cage. So it's full circle. I think that's really neat. So, this movie really jump-started my love for martial arts movies, and I would literally go to the Fitzgerald Video Warehouse, because we ain't have Blockbuster, all right, we country. I would go to the Fitzgerald Video Warehouse, and, you know, I'm going to check out what's new, and rent, you know, something that's new, whatever might be out. But then I go to the martial arts, and I literally started at the A with American Ninja, and just started working my way. And I have seen so many martial arts movies from the 80s. You know what I'm saying? This is old stuff, right? But it really jump-started me in my love for martial arts movies and stuff like that, and Asian cinema in general. So I love this movie. It's one of Canon's best movies to me. And, you know, you may disagree, and that's fine. You can let me know in the comments if you do disagree with me. There were 3 sequels. Jean-Claude Van Damme had nothing to do with any of them. And if I have seen them, I don't remember. From what I understand, they were all terrible. I'll probably, at some point in my life, if I ever have the time, I'll try and watch them, or at least find out more about them. But I don't think I've ever seen the 3 sequels to this. I don't even remember who's in them. They, like I said, probably direct-to-video stuff, right? Anyway, so I appreciate you sticking around. Kind of a long show today, so I thank you for your time. I will be back next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Hopefully I'll do another Canon film, or if I don't, I'll try and do something with some action figures, or possibly both. Who knows? Things happen, you know. But that's all I got for this week. Before I get out of here, I do want to tell you, if you like the show, make sure you hit like, leave me a comment. If you really like the show, make sure you subscribe to the show. Hit the little bell icon. It's down here or down here. It depends. I don't know. Hit the little bell icon to let you know whenever I drop a new show. I try to drop a new show every Sunday. I do my level best to anyway. But hit the bell icon. It'll let you know when that happens. While you're on YouTube, make sure you go check out my friends Hassel and Monster. They're at the Nerdy Man Room Show and Nerdy Man Room Show and Hassel's spoiler-ridden reviews. The name change is pending. I asked him. He may not. May just be Hassel's review still. They are on YouTube. They are on Roku TV. They're on Fire TV. They are all over social media. They are part of the Geek Network. They are everywhere, and they are building their show up, and it's a really good time. They talk about all kinds of cool, nerdy, and geeky things. They're on the TikTok now, and I'm on the TikTok. My TikTok has kind of become where I spend most of my tall tales, yarns, stories, jokes, so to speak. But I haven't forgot YouTube. This is where I started, and this is where I'm going to keep going. But, you know, I'm kind of trying to do a little love in both places. So check me out there. I'm at Big Rob's house over there on the TikTok as well. The last thing I want to tell you guys is make sure you go by, if you're in Tifton, Georgia, or if not, go online, check out the Zone Collectables. They're at 305 Main Street. They're the Zone Collectables on Facebook, the Zone Collectables at gmail.com. And check out their TV channels, streaming channels, I guess is the right word. Anyway, Spotlight Media GA on Roku and Fire TV. That's where you're going to find the Nerdy Man Room Show and Hassle's reviews and a whole bunch of other interesting things. Go by and check them out. That's all I got this week. I really appreciate you spending a little time. I kind of know it went on a little bit long, but I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, and may the force be with you.